Good afternoon. I'm Alan Masters, AIFD. I'm coming to you from the Dr. Kirk Lewis Career and Technical High School in Pasadena, Texas, where I'm the floral design instructor as well as the creative director of floral design for our campus as well as the majority of our district. I just want to talk to you a little bit today about line. Line, as we know, is the vital visual path that the eye follows through a design. And before we get started, I want to take just a second to say thank you to our sponsors. Southern Floral Company in Houston, Texas is a great wholesaler. They provide such beautiful product for us all of the time. Great hard goods, great fresh product. If you need it, they've got it, and you should really stop by there and check them out sometime and find out what all you can purchase from Southern. Susan Weatherford and her staff are doing such a great job, and we're thrilled to have them as our sponsor today. Design Master Paints, Dwight Larimer, has provided so many great colors for us to use as we shift our colors through to whatever we might need and enhance things and change them up a little bit. We want to keep it real looking, and he's provided a product called Just for Flowers so that we're able to do that. And then finally, the campus and our principal, Steve Fleming, who allows me to do these videos as well as teach almost 200 students every year. And we are just thrilled to be able to inspire passion and a love for flowers in them, just like I have every day of my life. And I love education. I love being out here teaching. So I hope you learned something today. So let's talk about line. We're very cognizant of the vertical line. We know what that is, something that's straight up and down. We know what horizontal is, excuse me, where things are out flat against the table, maybe like a long and low centerpiece would have a horizontal style to it. We all understand both of those quite clearly. But some of the others that we might not understand as clearly are things like the curvilinear designs. So something like maybe the Hogarth curve that has that S shape, or the crescent design that's just got that sweeping C motion to it, similar to a crescent moon. Whether it be up this way or whether it's upside down onto the base like that, the crescent shape is just a beautiful, soft, curving movement. It's very romantic, has a lot of soft edges to it, and it's one that we just absolutely love. Now, I've been talking to the students for about a week and a half about Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and Christmas, and you can see it here on the board as well, and teaching them how to market to a community outside of just Christmas, because there's two other holidays that take place at the same time. So while we talk about line, we also want to look at the two different holidays. So let's move right over here, and let me move this one in just a skosh so that you can see it a little better. And let's talk about the crescent shape. Here you see that beautiful crescent line, the curve that's there. It's just absolutely gorgeous. I love, again, the softness and the romantic feel of it. We've done all whites and blues. Again, this is for Hanukkah, so we want to make sure that we do colors that everybody can appreciate in the Jewish faith rather than using red and green. Now, why don't we want to use red and green? Red and green are for Christmas, and they don't celebrate Christmas, and so we want to make sure that rather than offend them, we're careful to choose more traditional colors. So in learning about the different holidays, we have to educate ourselves as well about why we do what we do and the colors that we're going to sell to them. And in this particular case, blue and white works. Now, you could also do things like purples and pinks, and they love that. You can do coppers and golds mixed together with white, which makes a beautiful arrangement as well, and that is perfectly acceptable. We just chose the more traditional blue and white of Hanukkah and stayed with that. We did the color enhancing on the hydrangeas that are there in our focal area using the Design Master Delphinium Blue sprayed over the top. What I like so much about it is it gives you all this variant of color, so it's not just all one shade of blue. There's some all the way down to white up to a darker Delphinium Blue, and you get all this variation in there. Such a great tool to work with, and it allows us to create what looks like it actually grew in nature that way. Now, I have to confess, these beautiful blooming branches that are up here, the pear blossoms, I love those. I always have, but they're not in season. Well, they're not most places anyway. Now, I'm in the Houston, Texas area, and as I was driving past our college today, I noticed that the pear trees were blooming. They're not mine, but all trees can use what we call selective pruning, right? Well, Yeah, except that what you're doing is stealing from somebody. So at the rate of getting myself in trouble, I stole these pear trees today, or pear branches today, not the whole tree, obviously, and cut off just a few of them so that I could bring them in. Had to fight with a few honeybees to do it, but it was okay. They're all alive. We didn't take out any animals in the process, thank goodness. But we wanted to make sure that I was able to use these because I fell in love with them when I saw them. So we all do this. Let's be honest. We see a beautiful tree and we'll stop and cut something off, whether it's ours or not. And that's just kind of how we find a lot of the product that we use. But the pear blossoms are gorgeous. Polar star roses, carnations, some of the ruscus being used here as well as the pine. So beautiful style, great crescent shape. I hope you like the sweeping motion, and I hope that it'll make you kind of stretch outside of your normal and think of different ways that you can design. And rather than just a mound of flowers, let's create a little bit of a line that maybe has that sweeping motion to it. You think you could go out and do that in your shops today? Hope so. So let's move over to Kwanzaa. Now, for those of you that don't know, Kwanzaa was created in 1966. It has 7 core principles. They are known as the Ngozi Saba. There are 7 candles that are used in what's called a Kinara. 1 candle is lit each night. There's 3 red, 3 green, 1 black in the center. And there's principles like unity, self-determination, faith, and there's others that are there. But the principles were done to kind of teach and instruct new generations of African Americans about the traditions that took place in Africa. It is Pan-American, so it happens in North, Central, and South America. And the African American cultures throughout can learn about that and can celebrate that holiday as part of their tradition. It begins the day after Christmas from December 26th through January the 1st. So that brings us to our Kwanzaa arrangement. I love Kwanzaa. It's beautiful colors. All of the jewel tones, the deep rich reds and golds and yellows, oranges that are mixed together. And so this arrangement just shows that off a little bit. Now we used a beautiful, kind of a bronzy colored metallic container. And then we brought in this dark billet to kind of mimic the color of that, as well as some of the copper beech. In the center, there's one of these tiger stripe pumpkins, because gourds and pumpkins are a big part of what's used in their design for the holiday. I fell in love with these and I wanted to use this one, so it's been stored in a cooler since Halloween so that I make sure we still had some. And I want to show you a little trick, because we typically will just put 1 skewer or 1 pick at the bottom, and that's how we insert it into the foam, and it can get a little wobbly because of their weight. So I chose to use 2. You can see them right here. They're put in kind of in a V shape. We'll squeeze those together just slightly, insert those into the foam, and they'll try to spring back into place. And when they do, it kind of anchors and locks that into the foam so that it's not moving around. So let's slide him right back into place there. And he gets to stay there and serve as our focal point. Now there's 2 different types of line that we want to talk about. Outside of what our shapes are, we want to talk about static and dynamic line. Static is the very rigid, very straight, very vertical or horizontal, depending on the case. And this one is vertical. It's our backbone of our arrangement, if you will. It's where our strength comes from. And then there's the dynamic line. It's the one that has all the movement through, which is created here with the kumquats. And you can see that static line being created across the front as it sweeps through and the kumquats carry out all the way to the other side. What I like about the kumquats is they're also providing a little bit of a shelter. So there's this open area in here that's underneath. Creates almost like a little secret garden that you want to come peek down into and see what's happening inside. It's kind of fun to create that shelter and allow those things to kind of stand out and show off a little bit. Now we did color enhance the spiders just so that you can see those a little better. Let's turn that. They are done in the daffodil yellow, so it's a little bit more of a golden yellow, so we get that great color that we needed for the arrangement. These were just white, and we added that on, and they still look very, very realistic. You almost can't tell that there's any paint on them at all unless you look really, really closely. We've got the 2 little sheaves of wheat coming out, and then this beautiful green lichen branch that sweeps right through the middle and dissects the whole thing. So overall, we've got this beautiful design that's got some movement to it, but it's got some rigidity to it as well. The colors are color blocked, so we've got golds, reds, oranges, and so we keep them in groups, which adds a little bit more visual impact with those colors as you're working through. Overall, we've talked about several different things. We've talked about what line is, the vital visual path that the eye follows. We've talked about the different shapes of lines. We've got vertical, horizontal, the crescent, the S-curve of the Hogarth. Then we've talked about dynamic and static. Got it backwards, static and dynamic. We've talked about all the different types of line. So I hope you've learned something today about line. I hope that you pick that up. We'll start to utilize that. Line is one of my favorite principles and elements because I feel like if I get my line right, everything else just seems to fall into place. It makes my job a lot easier once I've constructed the line, and that's where I work from. So again, let me say thank you to our sponsors, Southern Floral Company, Design Master Paints, and then the Career Technical High School here in Pasadena. Thank you guys for all you do to support education in our industry. For those of you that are watching, I always close my programs by saying, keep blooming, go out and make something beautiful today. Bye-bye. God bless.